Hello, everyone. How you doing? Man, I gotta tell you, I have been really enjoying life living in Japan lately. There's always so many amazing things that you can see and do. You are never bored living here. And recently, I went to target practice, and it was probably very different than you might be thinking about. So, in Japan, there is this way of doing target practice that's very different than what you might see anywhere else in the world. And today I want to share that with you. And then we have an amazing assignment as we go into Thanksgiving weekend for those who are living in America. So let's jump right into target practice. Oh man, I gotta tell you, this was such an amazing thing for me to witness being here and seeing this and the whole 9 yards. Now, you can catch me every week on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook as we go live. And also, please subscribe to my YouTube page. There you'll get notifications when we do go live. So here is the target. One of two targets, actually. And you're not using guns and bullets or anything like that. It's all bows and arrows. This is target practice, Japanese style. Last week, actually 2 weeks ago now almost, they had this reopening of an equestrian park here in Tokyo. The same park that they used for the Olympics, but back in the Tokyo Olympics, there were no crowds allowed in. So they had the reopening ceremony 2 weeks ago to let people in and enjoy it, and it was fantastic. And one of the events that took place was target practice with bows and arrows. So there are two targets here. The larger target was the main target that everybody starts with, and then as they get better, or as the event goes on, the targets get smaller. So you're seeing both targets here, the large and the small. And here's the twist. You're on a horse galloping down this lane, trying to hit these targets. So that adds a little bit extra to it, but that's not all. So all of the people who are trying to hit these targets, they're dressed like this in ancient Japanese attire, and they're on horseback. So using bows and arrows, they're galloping down this pathway, and they've got to hit these targets. And on top of that, they've got to wear all of these garments, and they are quite elaborate, and they're heavy. And this day, because back 2 weeks ago, it felt like summer in Tokyo, they were still kind of hot in all this gear. Today, it feels like winter. It changed overnight. But 2 weeks ago, it was still summer in Tokyo. And they're wearing all this attire. I got invited in to watch them dress and prepare to be at the stable with them. Because now, after shooting Yabusame, this is what this is called in Japanese. Japanese horseback archery is called Yabusame. They dress this way, and it's beautiful to watch the whole process come together. I loved watching them give the blessing to the targets, preparing to get the horses prepared. It was just fun for me as a foreigner to watch all this come together. And now they know me, and they know I'm going to give them great pictures, and they're allowing me access to come in and shoot this amazing event. I do want to remind you, I'll be taking your questions after we finish this segment and also after today's lesson. So get your questions ready. Now, this is everyone holding the targets before we go out and have the event. So I gathered everyone together to hold all the targets while they're nice and clean before they get, of course, beaten up with the targets. Wonderful. Just seeing the pomp and circumstance that goes along with this, pomp and circumstance that goes along with this. I loved being there and catching all of this as they prepared for the ceremony, walking out, seeing the crowds. And for the first time ever, I was allowed on the track. You see on the left there, all the spectators there, and you'll see the rider galloping down this path, and they've got to hit that target, and they're judged on if they hit the target in the center or not. They get 3 chances to hit a target as they fly down this path, And they do that run 3 different times. But as they go down the path, it gets smaller. So the first 2 times they're using the big target. The last time is the very, very small target. And they are flying down this path. So I'm on the track. I can feel them pass by. I can see them pass by. The dirt is coming up and also hitting me as they pass by. They're going so fast. And I just loved having access to this and getting this. I was using my Z9, shooting at 30 frames per second to get every instant of them flying by on the path. I used a 105 lens, one of my favorite lenses, for this shot, and I loved it. He had just hit the target, and he's got to go through and reload for the second target. So to see this was wonderful. So here's one of my other friends doing the same thing. She is also hitting her target. She's about to shoot here, and then she's got to reload. Happy she hit her target, and she's got to now reload and hit the last target. And look how small this target is. It was so much fun photographing this whole sequence. And at the end, they show the targets, which ones were hit, which ones were not hit, and you see the process and how hard this is. I mean, imagine this on a horse going full speed, trying to hit 3 targets as you go down this path. You get 3 tries to do this, but it's just wonderful to see it. And a few weeks ago, I gave the assignment of panning, trying to pan a moving target. I only had 3 chances to shoot this, so I want to make sure I get great pictures first. And then I tried my hand at panning to get one shot of one of the riders going by, but it happened so fast and only got maybe a few shots off like this, but this one I kind of like. Now, this is Japanese practice, target practice, Japanese style. It was really, really fun. Again, it's called Yabusame, and this was at a brand new equestrian park that's just reopened here in Tokyo. Fantastic stuff. Now, this is time for your questions. So, as I take a sip of my green tea, let's have your questions all about Yabusame or shooting, or maybe what gear I want to use for this in the future. I do plan to do this a lot more. As a matter of fact, they have Yabusame a few times a year, like twice a year, actually. So the next time will happen in March. I do plan to be there and capture that as well. Hello, Edward. How you doing? Good to see you here. Good to see you all here as you're coming in and seeing this. Today, we're going to go into a lesson. I want to share lessons all this month of November to help you become better photographers. I know in the States, we're coming up on Thanksgiving week. One of my favorite holidays that I definitely miss not being in America, but I want to help by giving you assignments that are going to help you. Hello, Robin. Good to see you there as well. Are the judges sitting below the targets? So no, they are not below the targets. Can be a little dangerous there, but they are off to the side. Maybe like, I'll say 6 to 10 feet away from the target, close enough to see that they are actually hitting the target. And then they judge, they stand up, and they show you a flag based on if they hit the target or not. So they are close, but not so close that they might get hit by the arrow. Kind of cool to see the whole process and enjoy it and hear as the horses fly down that path. Thank you, Robin, for that question. Really cool to see. Let's go into the lesson for this week, because this is a good one. I think you're all going to really like this as we go deeper into photography for 2023 as we go into the last part of this year. So for those who don't know, my name is Matthew Jordan Smith. I've been a photographer for over 35 years, and I absolutely love it. If you ask me what my hobby is, it's also photography, but my career is also photography, and I love both ways. I just can't stop shooting. It's the joy of my life in so many ways. But today we're talking about you, and I'm going to give you a photo assignment. And this one is all about those candid moments. I want to talk about what that means. So candid moments are unexpected moments that you as the photographer capture when people are not aware that you're taking the picture, or it's a surprise. They're not posing. Like this picture is a pose. So I want to show you first an image that's really not candid. I saw a friend on the street. This is a good friend of mine, Jaden, and actually my godson, and saw him passing on the street. And I'm shooting one day. He passes by, like, Jaden, hey! And I snapped his picture and got that moment. Kind of candid, but he's stopping and posing. So that's not really that candid moment. This is a candid moment, a moment where someone is in a moment and you capture them. And what's the difference about this is you get people really having a true moment. These pictures are special. Now, this assignment is specifically for Thanksgiving week, even though you can do this anywhere in the world, no matter where you are, Japan, Europe, South America, it doesn't matter where you are, this really works because candid moments are some of the best moments photographically in history. If this is my mother, if I had told her to look up and she's posing, it's a different thing. The feeling's different. Here's a hot day in Tokyo, and it's so hot you have to hydrate all the time. This is a festival. This was at the height of the summer this year when people are just so thirsty and hot. And I saw this man going down to refill his thermos and have fresh water. We all needed it this summer. And this image shows everything. Even looking at his hat closely, you can see the sweat dropping off of his hat. That's how hot it was in Tokyo this summer. So those candid moments, there's nothing like it to really tell a story. This is a spot that I've gone to for the first time where people are dressed as cosplay, and they're dressing candid. Look, they're having these candid moments on their own. They're all in this park, and they're waiting for people to take their picture. So there are photographers everywhere, and some are posing people, and that's wonderful. But I like those moments when people are doing their thing almost unaware. Those pictures really have a different feeling. And when you start taking pictures like this, it will make you a better photographer, especially if you're a photojournalist. Catching moments like this, one of the cosplayers and his dog was out, and I loved seeing this moment, even the dog's looking off. But this is what I love, people being unaware and getting the essence of them and all the beauty. This is actually one of my favorite shots. After I shot this picture, the moment after I shot this picture, she turned and looked at me and smiled, and I got that picture as well. But look at the smile versus this one. This one is so much better because it's the real moment, the true moments of people walking, looking back in history, looking at this maybe 10 years from now, it will tell a different story. A smile is a pose, and that's being totally aware of the camera. It feels very different, almost feels fake. This is a real moment. Candid moments are real. Now, this moment I want to show you again because she stopped and smiled, and it is preparing for the camera. It's very different versus a real moment. The real moments stand the test of time. The smile can go in somebody's Instagram or whatever, or in an album, but the real moments, years from now, for decades, have a much stronger impact. So as we go into Thanksgiving, for those who are in the States specifically, I want you to think about getting candid moments of your family as you're having dinner, as you're preparing dinner, as you're doing things after you're having a big feast. Thanksgiving's all about eating for the most part, but I want you to think about you, your family, those you love, and getting candid moments beyond just the standard smile. Those are all well and good, and maybe you need those too. But what's stronger, looking back years from now of you and your family and your loved ones in those real moments, that's what makes the difference. So this is your assignment for this week as we go into the last part of Thanksgiving. Now, our last assignment is going to be the best one of the month, but you'll hear about that one next week. This week is all about candid moments, you photographing people candidly. Find pictures of your friends, family, as they're preparing a meal, as they're eating meals, as they're laughing through whatever's going on. Whatever's happening in your family, capture those moments. Those are special moments. Now, I love these moments. This is a moment years ago where I was invited by Jimmy Carter to a dinner. This is ex-President Jimmy Carter, who's now, I believe, 100 years old this year, 100 or 101. He's up there, and this is his wife, Rosalind Carter, and they also invited Chuck D. Chuck D's on stage, and Rosalind is hugging Chuck D from Public Enemy. I love this image because those who know the history of America and Public Enemy, the rap group, and Jimmy Carter being a politician, this is a very special moment to see them hugging. It shows a lot how things change over time. And obviously, there's a connection there between Jimmy Carter and Chuck D. And I love seeing this moment and capturing this hug. And also love that shot of Jimmy Carter looking at me as I'm capturing the moment. That was a fun night and a great dinner. Now, if you want to not only do these assignments, but get feedback on the assignments, I want to invite you to join my course, Photography Lighting Course. We've got a brand new structure. You can join now for less than the cost of going to Starbucks every day and be a member of Photography Lighting Course. There you can get feedback on the assignments, on your work. You can learn how to grow as a photographer by learning more about light, more about photography. And yes, we give assignments throughout the year where you get to grow, discuss them, and hopefully go back and tweak and get better and better and better. Now, yes, you can do all these assignments on your own that I'm giving you all this month. They're great. They're going to help you grow as a photographer. But when you get feedback and learn how to take what you've done and improve it, that's when you truly get better. So for those who want to grow, join us all in Photography Lighting Course. Just hit that QR code, click in, check out the course that's right for you or the option that's right for you, and be a part of Photography Lighting Course. There's even an option for those who want to have one-on-one private training. All that is there for you in PLC. This has all been about taking pictures candidly. That's your assignment for this week. But now it's time for your questions. I love seeing them all coming in. I'm going to now jump in and take your questions, and let's see what we have here. Oh, wow. Brian, thank you for joining us, Brian, there. Oh, did they give you a location? I guess Brian's talking about the Yabusame. Did they give me a location where I could take pictures on the track? Yes, they did. So now that I've gotten to know people in the Yabusame world, they've invited me to different events. And because of that, I get special access to be on the track. I was not by myself. This is myself and two other photographers who were able to be there in the stable, watch them before they got started, document everything before, during, and after. And that was fantastic. So that's been wonderful to have that kind of access. Was great. Thank you, Brian, for that question. I did not have to move at all. I stayed in that one place the entire time. I didn't want to move around too much. You don't want to go into the wrong place. So during the actual process of them doing Yabusame, I'm staying in my same area and not being in the way of the horses for sure, and not blocking the other photographers as well. I want to make sure that we all had our space to get our images to make everybody happy. So thank you for that question. Let's see. Sane says, oh, what lens were you using for that? So for the image of the Yabusame, the horses, I was using my 105. I did wish I'd had my 50 with me as well. I only brought one lens out to the track. I couldn't change because it's going so fast. But I wish I'd had a wider lens as well, so I could probably done my panning with a wider lens just to see how that would have looked. But I used the 105 for the most part for all of that, all those images. And for the group shots at the end of the horseback archery, I had to go way back because I had that 105. So having two lenses have been really good for me. Having two bodies would have been really good. So next time I have two bodies on me as I go out to shoot Yabusame. Thank you for that question. And also in regards to the other images where I'm taking pictures of people outside, for those I'm also using a 105. I'm using my 105 for both of those scenes, both the horseback archery and the shooting candidly outside. Most of those with the 105. There were some of my family, like the ones of my mom, that's shot with a 50 millimeter 1.2 lens. So I did use the 50 for some of those candid shots. But most of the images you saw today were the 105 with my Nikon Z8 and Z9. Thank you, Rico. Rico says, great images. Thank you for all of that. Love you guys asking all your questions. Please feel free to ask anything you want while we are live. Also, even for those who are watching the YouTube later on, ask your questions even there on the page. I'll go back and check from time to time and make sure I answer your questions as well. Thank you all. Let me see if I can get some more questions here. Make sure I don't miss anything before we close out today. Oh, well, these photos be used for anything for publicity. I did give the Yabusame group images that I loved. I gave them a nice large selection, allowing me to come and shoot all of this. I want to continue shooting them and doing more in the future, because down the line, I'd love to do a book of all of this, of Yabusame in detail, not just them coming down paths. And I've photographed them now in 4 different locations. I want to have enough for a book in the future that shows the whole process of Yabusame. And I've got a long way to go. There's a lot more to photograph regarding that to show the world, because I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful art form in so many ways, even to the part of making the outfits that they wear. They're made in the style of the kimono. They're dressed in the same process of putting on a kimono. It takes a long time to get dressed. So seeing that process for the first time for me was absolutely amazing. To be honest, I loved watching the process before the preparation more than the actual Yabusame. I've shot that so many times now. I love getting the before and the after and seeing how they feel, the nerves before going on, how they feel after when it's all done. All of that is kind of cool to see, indeed. What is my favorite action lens or lenses? Oh man, my favorite ones at the moment, the 105 and the 135, that brand new 105 1.8 by Nikon for the Z9, Z8. I really, really love that lens. For the Olympics 2 years ago, I was using a 200 f2. I like that lens a lot as well. Fast, long. Those long lenses are great for things like this. I think the next time I shoot, I'll be having probably the 50 and the 135 as my go-to lenses to get Yabusame. That'd be great. I had 2 bodies and those 2 lenses with me. Now, for those who know me, I love prime glass. I was in the gym this morning talking about this same subject when a person in the gym asked me, oh, what lens should I use for this event? And I told him my idea for the lens. I like my prime lenses because they're faster. A zoom lens may be at f2.8 or f4. You'll have this range of being able to go from like maybe a 70 to 120 or 70 to 200, whatever. But what I get for prime is faster glass, like f1.2, f1.4, 1.8, super fast glass. And that I love. So thank you for asking that question. Brian says, oh, Tuna F2 is one of my favorites as well. That is a sweet lens. Yes, I know that one's very expensive, but it is absolutely worth every penny. If you're doing sports, that 200 f2 is definitely a sweet lens. I used that one a lot during the Tokyo Summer Olympics. That is a fantastic lens to use out in the field if you're doing sports or anything moving fast. Great, great lens for sure. I want to thank you. Oh, I see one more question that just popped in. Oh, out of all your shots in your career, what are your favorites? My favorite is the one that's coming up next. I love that question because I get that a lot. I've done a lot of great shoots throughout my career for sure that I love and treasure. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share something I didn't think about sharing today. I get requests all the time for images from my archive, and I got a request for pictures of TLC recently. And I was going through my archive and looking at all my notes. In the film days, we kept things called a data sheet. So I put up my data sheet on my TLC shoot. This is the data sheet of the TLC shoot. For those who remember TLC, where I showed all this, the Polaroid taken from the shoot, the date. My assistant would fill this out on every single shoot. You get all the Polaroids, and these are one of a kind. So I have all these data sheets from all my jobs for the last 35 years. It tells me everything about the job, who was on it, the exposure, the lens, the camera. It's great looking back and having all this stuff to go through. I'll show you even one more, because they're all close by. This was my very first cover assignment of my career. This was September 1992. This is my first 2 covers of my career. And this is a shoot. The woman who's at the top, she was an actress at the time called Alva Rogers. She was my very first cover of my career, and my first cover of my career. And on the bottom is a model that I shot for the second cover. We did them both. I did 2 covers that same day. They were cover tries. And back in the old days, they'd have a magazine would hire 3 photographers to shoot cover tries. And then the editors would find out the best image that they loved out of those images to use as covers. And I got 2 covers from my cover try. And then the model at the bottom, her family was so happy seeing her on the cover, they invited the entire crew to the south of France. And that's my first time going to south of France, was on that trip that the mother of that model put together for the entire crew, because she was so happy seeing her daughter on the cover of Essence magazine. That was back in 1992, the start of my career. All right, that's enough for today. So, Say does is another question coming in. Say says, how about that 135 lens? The 135 lens is absolutely phenomenal. I just finished another job where I was shooting stills on a movie set. So in a movie, you're further away. You can't get to the action all the time. And that 135 1.8 lens was absolutely incredible. And the images need to kind of match what the cinematographer is shooting on a movie. So you want to get that same kind of feeling. So getting that wide open aperture with the background being blown out really helps in that situation. And that 135 1.8, that's a sweet lens. All right, everyone. Thank you for all your questions today and letting me share not only the lessons, but part of my past as well. I'm looking forward to sharing more next week. You do not want to miss the session next week, because this one is probably the best assignment of them all. And it's made just for you and super, super important. You want all your friends, family, everybody to see next week's live stream. All right, everyone. Thank you again for your time. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye, everyone.